This is going to be a video for Basic Brain Anatomy by Catherine Eunice. Ooh. I want you to breathe in and clear your mind. Now wave your hand. Look around the room you're sitting in. Breathe out. All those actions are possible because you possess something very special, a brain. The brain is responsible for your conscious and unconscious actions. This is a video that will go through the basic regions of the brain and what performs which function. The brain is really complicated, and we haven't got it all figured out yet. But by using science, we can explain a little of what's going on. Let's start with neurons, the basic building blocks of the brain. Neurons act in groups, where each neuron type has a specific function. It can be a neuron type for faces, or color, or hunger, or tastes. However, for your brain to send a message, it doesn't just use one neuron, but many of them at the same time. The more neurons sending a message, the likelier it is to be read by the brain. So if you only have a few, you'll have a smaller message, and if you have more, you'll have a louder message, more urgent. If you have even more, you'll have more. It's easier for neurons to act with nearby neurons versus those farther away, so different messages will come from different areas of the brain. So some will be sent by a group of neurons saying, I'm hungry. We know that neurons act in group to do similar actions. So here's a way to think about which parts of the brain do what. For example, let's start with the most basic of actions, the ones you aren't even 100% conscious of. Without doing anything, your heartbeat, breathing, arousal, hunger, and sleep levels are all being run by the brainstem. If you look at this model, you'll see the brainstem is located at the base of the skull. In fact, you can just as easily use your hand as a model for the brain by curling it up, like so. You can see how the brainstem is here where the wrist is, and the limbic system and cortex, which we'll go into later, are here and here. You try. This part of the brain is similar to our reptilian ancestors and has the same function in both humans and lizards. It is our reflex response system connected to deep drives to act in certain ways. But we don't only respond automatically to things, we also have feelings. These come from the limbic region, which is located in the middle of your brain. Feelings can have a huge effect on our actions and allow us to connect with other humans as social creatures. For instance, when I get a compliment or look off the side of a really tall building, my limbic system sends signals throughout my body about whether to feel warm and fuzzy inside or be paralyzed by fear. Short-term memories are also stored in the limbic system in this area, which may explain why emotional events make long-lasting memories, since the neurons for both are sending messages as a group. So for instance here, I have a feeling of fear in the memory of the building, which may equate to a scary building in my mind. So I can breathe, sleep, and feel fear. But what about thinking, planning, feeling, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and understanding the world? All of these things are done by the cortex, which is the biggest part of the brain in humans, here and here on the outside of your hand model in the brain. This is the part that separates humans from other mammals and mammals from farther ancestors. Overall, the cortex gives us long-term memory, reason, and free will. We can point out the occipital lobe in the back of our head, which is where your sight and ability to understand what you're looking at come from. At the top of your head is the parietal lobe, which stores sensory data from the body. In fact, the brain's folds have been mapped to certain body parts. The temporal lobe runs down the side of your head, and it holds the parts that can hear and takes care of memories and emotions like the limbic region, which it's right next to. Lastly, right at our forehead is the frontal lobe, which organizes all the planning and coordinated movement, like dancing, that allows us to dream, build, and think about the future, and grow older. Using these three main regions, your brain is capable of infinite actions. Even as you watch this video, you're using your occipital and frontal lobes to see, process what you see, and think about how cool neuroscience is. You can trace any of your actions back to a specific region in the brain, and even show where a few might be using your handy hand model. Where's sadness? Your sense of taste? Your ability to feel empathy? All of these and more are locked in your brain, but organized in such a way that we can make sense of it and marvel at how smart our brains really are.